The mysterious case of the MV Joyita, from the hidden relics beneath the sea at the Yonaguni Monument, where ancient secrets are etched into stone, we now venture into the vast Pacific Ocean, where a different, chilling mystery unraveled. It's the tale of the MV Joyita, a vessel that vanished without a trace, only to resurface weeks later, deserted and wrapped in unanswered questions. What befell its passengers and crew? Why was the ship left floating hundreds of miles off course? And what clues did this ghost ship leave behind? Let's explore the eerie enigma surrounding the MV Joyita. In October 1955, the MV Joyita embarked on a voyage from Samoa that was supposed to be simple and uneventful. Once a lavish private yacht, the ship had become a dependable cargo and passenger carrier across the South Pacific. Yet, when Joyita failed to reach her intended destination, a massive search operation ensued. Several weeks later, the vessel was discovered adrift, more than 600 miles off its intended path, completely abandoned, with no signs of its crew or passengers, and no clear explanation. What unfolded on the MV Joyita? Why had everyone on board disappeared? And why was the ship left to ghost through the ocean? This is the chilling mystery of the Joyita. During the early 1950s, the South Pacific was a world of isolation, an expanse of remote islands linked only by tenuous maritime routes stretching across thousands of miles. For those living in these distant communities, the ocean was not just a mode of travel. It was a vital artery for survival, commerce, and sometimes a source of danger. Among the countless ships navigating these waters was the MV Joyita, a vessel with a colorful past. Originally constructed in 1931 as a glamorous yacht for a Hollywood filmmaker, the name Joyita meant little jewel in Spanish, a fitting title for a ship that once embodied luxury. However, by the 1940s, the Joyita's glamorous days had faded. During World War II, it was converted into a patrol vessel for the U.S. Navy. After the war, it was sold into private hands and refitted as a sturdy, though unremarkable, merchant ship. Although no longer a symbol of opulence, the Joyita had earned a reputation as a tough and seaworthy craft. By 1955, it was under the ownership of Captain Thomas "Dusty" Miller, an experienced British mariner who had spent many years mastering the Pacific's treacherous waters. Known and trusted by many, Captain Miller possessed a deep knowledge of the ocean's capricious nature. If anyone could navigate these seas safely, it was him. On October 3, 1955, the Joyita departed the harbor at Apia, Samoa, en route to the Tokelau Islands roughly 270 miles north. The trip was a routine journey expected to last no longer than 2 days. Aboard the vessel were 25 individuals, 9 crew members, and 16 passengers, as well as a shipment of medical supplies, food, timber, and other goods destined for the isolated islands. Among the travelers was Dr. Alfred Dennis, a respected physician journeying to Tokelau to perform surgeries, a testament to the trip's critical importance, as medical services were rare and often a matter of survival in these remote outposts. The Joyita left Apia under clear skies and steady seas, with no sign of trouble on the horizon. Spirits were high, and there was every expectation of a safe arrival. However, as the hours dragged into days, concern began to build. The Joyita did not arrive at Tokelau as scheduled. At first, radio operators presumed the ship had encountered minor mechanical problems or navigational delays, a common occurrence in the unpredictable South Pacific. Yet by the third day, alarm bells started ringing. The vessel's radio transmissions had ceased entirely, and no one had heard from the Joyita. Word spread rapidly, and soon an extensive search was underway. Aircraft and ships combed the waters between Samoa and Tokelau, covering a vast stretch of open ocean. Yet there was no trace of the Joyita, no floating wreckage, no distress signals, no evidence at all. It was as though the ship had simply been swallowed whole by the Pacific. Then, 5 weeks later, on November 10, 1955, the mystery deepened. A merchant ship navigating near Fiji spotted something unusual in the water, a dark, bobbing shape that initially resembled a piece of debris. Upon closer approach, the crew realized it was the missing Joyita, adrift and abandoned more than 600 miles from her intended course. The sight was chilling. The Joyita, once considered nearly unsinkable, was listing heavily to port, her deck partially submerged. Yet the ship remained afloat, a testament to her robust cedarwood construction. But the ship was utterly deserted. No passengers, no crew, nothing but silence. When rescuers boarded her, the interior scene was even more unsettling. Cargo lay strewn across the decks. Boxes of medical supplies had been opened. Blood-stained bandages were found, but there was no clue as to why they had been used. The lifeboats and life rafts were missing, along with personal effects and critical navigational tools. In the main cabin, the ship's radio was set to the international distress frequency, but the antenna was broken, meaning any distress call would have had a paltry range of just 2 miles. Investigators also discovered that the cabin clock had stopped at 10:25, suggesting a sudden catastrophic event. The Joyita's main engine was non-functional, and its auxiliary engine, a backup, was oddly covered in blankets, indicating someone had attempted to shield it from damage. Despite these issues, the vessel itself remained seaworthy. She wasn't sinking, so why had everyone abandoned her? The ship's logs were missing, along with any papers that might have shed light on the incident. All that remained were fragments, an abandoned ship, signs of a rushed departure, and no clues to the whereabouts of those aboard. As the Joyita was towed back to harbor, the unanswered questions only multiplied. What drove the passengers and crew to leave a floating, relatively stable ship? Why did they take the lifeboats but leave behind supplies critical for survival? And why had the vessel drifted so far off its intended course? The discovery of the MV Joyita unleashed a wave of theories. It wasn't just the eerie image of a ghost ship, it was the tangled web of mysteries left behind. What circumstances could force 25 people to abandon a ship that was still afloat, never to be seen again? One theory focuses on mechanical malfunction. Before departure, the Joyita's main engine had already been considered unreliable. Reports suggested a leaking pipe may have allowed water to flood the bilge, making it seem as though the ship was sinking. In a panic, the crew might have believed they were moments away from going under and decided to abandon ship. But here's the catch. The Joyita wasn't truly sinking. Her solid cedar hull was highly buoyant, even when damaged. Deserting her would have been a desperate last-ditch move. Another theory proposes that the crew simply misjudged the situation. The South Pacific is notorious for fierce currents and sudden weather changes. If the ship had listed badly enough, it could have given the illusion that sinking was inevitable. Still, this explanation doesn't account for why the lifeboats were never recovered. Did they drift beyond search areas, or did something more sinister occur? There's also the darker possibility of foul play. The Joyita was carrying valuable cargo, including medical supplies, a tempting target for pirates. While piracy wasn't rampant in the South Pacific during the 1950s, it wasn't unheard of either. Could pirates have boarded, attacked the crew, and stolen valuables? The missing personal items and navigational gear seemed to hint at such a possibility, yet no clear evidence of violence was ever found, leaving piracy as a speculative but unproven theory. A more chilling hypothesis involves rogue waves. These rare, towering walls of water can capsize even large ships without warning. Some believe a rogue wave might have flooded the Joyita's decks, terrifying the crew into abandoning ship. But again, the fact that the vessel was still afloat when found complicates this idea. Why desert a vessel capable of surviving the encounter? And then there are the stranger theories. Some suggest the crew encountered something inexplicable, something so terrifying they fled in panic, perhaps a supernatural phenomenon. Tales of ghost ships and sea monsters have long haunted maritime folklore, While there's no evidence to support these ideas, they reflect the persistent human fear of the unknown and the ocean's endless mysteries. Finally, there's the sobering likelihood that we may never know the truth. The sea is merciless when it comes to erasing evidence. Whether the crew succumbed to dehydration, storms, or even internal strife, the lack of hard facts leaves only speculation. The Joyita, like many ghost ships before her, has taken her secrets to the deep. The story of the MV Joyita didn't end with her discovery. In fact, her legend only grew. After salvage and repairs, the ship was returned to service. However, her reputation as a haunted vessel lingered. Sailors were reluctant to serve aboard her, convinced the spirits of the lost passengers still roamed the decks. Some even claimed to hear unexplained noises emanating from the hull or to feel an oppressive, eerie presence. Whether these accounts were rooted in truth or fueled by fear, they added yet another layer of mystery to the Joyita's story. Ultimately, the ship fell into disrepair and was abandoned, this time deliberately. Left to rot, the Joyita became a decaying relic of her own haunting past. Yet the Joyita's legacy is more than just an eerie ghost story. It serves as a reminder of the sea's vast power and impenetrable secrets. Even today, with satellites and GPS, the ocean remains a place where ships can vanish and mysteries endure. For maritime scholars and enthusiasts, the Joyita remains a profound case study, a story that forces us to grapple with human psychology, mechanical failure, and the raw force of nature. How could a ship, still afloat, be completely deserted? How could 25 souls vanish without leaving a trace? And how do we explain the unsettling clues, the blood-stained bandages, the broken radio, the stopped clock, without ever finding definitive answers? For the communities of the South Pacific, the story of the Joyita is a solemn warning. No matter how ordinary a journey may seem, the sea demands respect, and sometimes it guards its secrets forever. Thus, the MV Joyita remains one of the greatest nautical mysteries in history. Her story inspires endless speculation, fuels countless theories, and captivates anyone who dares to ponder what really happened out there on that fateful voyage in 1955. A ghost ship, adrift forever in the imaginations of all who hear her tale. Secrets of the Challenger. Deep, a forgotten odyssey. The eerie legend of the MV. Joe reminds us of how little we truly understand about the oceans, even at their surface. But what about the regions deep below, where sunlight has never touched, and mysteries grow even stranger? One such location lies hidden in the Western Pacific, a place so extreme and isolated that only a few have ever dared venture there. This is the Challenger Deep, the ocean's deepest known point, situated within the Mariana Trench. Yet, its story isn't just about depth. The Challenger Deep is wrapped in enigmas that have baffled experts for generations, including bizarre sounds recorded within the trench, noises that suggest something peculiar lurking in the abyss. Let's embark on a journey into the unimaginable depths of the Challenger Deep and unravel the chilling mysteries of the trench itself. The oceans span over 70% of Earth's surface, but their deepest secrets are locked far beneath. As the planet's deepest known spot, the Challenger Deep plunges almost 7 miles below the Pacific's surface. Deeper than Mount Everest is tall. It's a realm so hostile and distant that we know more about the moon's surface than this underwater chasm. What exactly lies at the bottom of this abyss? What organisms endure where temperatures barely rise above freezing? Pressures crush over 1,000 times that at sea level, and perpetual darkness reigns supreme? Then come the strange noises. Mysterious sounds captured within the Mariana Trench. Are they natural occurrences or evidence of something we can't yet explain? This is the saga of the Challenger Deep and the Mariana Trench. Earth's last great frontier. The Challenger Deep sits at the southern end of the Mariana Trench, a geological marvel so isolated and strange that for centuries it remained a blank spot on our maps. Stretching nearly 1,500 miles and diving almost 36,000 feet beneath the surface, this trench represents one of Earth's most extreme environments. Here, pressures are more than 1,000 times that at sea level, temperatures cling near freezing, and sunlight never penetrates. It's the ocean's equivalent of deep space, a deadly alien world where life seems improbable, yet astonishingly persists. To grasp how deep Challenger Deep truly is, consider this. At its maximum depth, it lies nearly 7 miles beneath the ocean's surface. Deeper than Mount Everest is tall by over a mile. Imagine standing atop Everest, gazing at the world far below, and then picture descending even further into a cold, lightless world. That is Challenger Deep. The trench itself was forged by powerful tectonic forces, where the Pacific Plate plunges beneath the smaller Mariana Plate in a process called subduction. This epic collision carved a deep scar into Earth's crust, forming a trench that marks the boundary between two titanic rock plates. Although scientists have long studied the trench's formation and geological structures, the Challenger Deep remains one of the least explored realms. It wasn't until relatively recently that humanity even knew of Challenger Deep's existence. The trench was first identified in 1875 during the expedition of HMS Challenger, a British research vessel tasked with ocean exploration. Using weighted ropes, the crew measured the trench's depths, uncovering a chasm deeper than anything previously known. This discovery ignited humanity's fascination with the Mariana Trench and its deepest point, later named after the pioneering ship. Yet despite mapping and charting, actually reaching Challenger Deep proved immensely difficult. The conditions were so extreme that even advanced technology struggled against the crushing pressure. For decades, Challenger Deep remained more a theoretical idea than a physical destination. A place so remote and inhospitable, it seemed almost unreachable. That changed in 1960. Two explorers, Jacques Picard and Don Walsh, set out on a historic mission to reach the bottom. Aboard the specially designed vessel Trieste, they undertook a daring journey into the unknown. The Trieste was no ordinary submersible. It was essentially a reinforced metal sphere protected by steel and gasoline tanks, engineered to survive the unimaginable pressures of the deep. Cramped, claustrophobic, and dimly lit inside, the sphere barely accommodated the two men. Every surface was meticulously designed to withstand over 16,000 pounds of pressure per square inch, enough force to instantly crush an unprotected human body. Their descent began just after dawn. As Trieste sank, the world outside faded into ever-deepening darkness until nothing could be seen beyond the small windows except an endless void. By the time they entered the midnight zone at around 3,000 feet, all sunlight had vanished, replaced only by the faint glimmers of bioluminescent creatures adrift in the blackness. The deeper they traveled, the fewer signs of life they encountered. At nearly 30,000 feet, Trieste's metal walls began to groan and creak under the overwhelming pressure, sounds that served as a constant reminder of their fragility. Despite the danger, Picard and Walsh pressed on, determined to reach their goal. After nearly 5 grueling hours, they arrived at Challenger Deep, 35,814 feet down. Here, at the very bottom of Earth's oceans, they gazed upon a surprisingly flat and barren seafloor, a desolate plain of sediment and clay. The pressure was so crushing that it compressed the very water around them, making it denser than at the surface. Despite the inhospitable conditions, they were astonished to spot what looked like a flatfish swimming along the bottom, proof that life could survive even here. With their air supplies dwindling and risks mounting, the explorers began their ascent. The Trieste mission was a monumental success, but it also underlined how much of the deep ocean remained a mystery. For decades afterward, Challenger Deep was visited only by robotic probes. Not until 2012, over 50 years later, did a human return. Filmmaker James Cameron piloted the deep-sea Challenger to the bottom, spending hours capturing detailed footage and collecting scientific samples. Unlike Pickard and Walsh, Cameron carried high-tech cameras and sensors, documenting the alien landscape in breathtaking detail. He discovered strange, translucent sea cucumbers, amphipods, and microbial mats, organisms thriving in the pitch black, feeding on chemical reactions rather than sunlight. For Cameron, the experience was humbling, a vivid reminder of how much about our oceans remains unknown. Yet even now, Challenger Deep remains scarcely explored. Less than 5% of Earth's oceans have been mapped in detail, and Challenger Deep is no exception. Its remoteness and the immense costs of deep-sea missions mean that much of its story is still unwritten. What secrets lie hidden in its crevices? Are there unknown life forms or geological phenomena waiting to be discovered? Today, Challenger Deep stands as a frontier where science and mystery meet. The Mariana Trench, stretching 1,500 miles across the western Pacific, tests the limits of human understanding. It's a realm of extremes, bone-chilling temperatures, pressures beyond comprehension, and phenomena unlike anywhere else on Earth. And the trench has not remained silent. In recent years, scientists have recorded eerie sounds emanating from its depths, from the shifting groans of tectonic plates to strange, otherworldly hums that defy explanation. What causes these sounds? Are they purely natural events, or could they signal something far stranger? As we leave Challenger Deep behind, let's focus on the mysterious sounds of the Mariana Trench, an acoustic puzzle that continues to bewilder scientists. The hidden legacy of the Sunken City, Heracleon's mysterious tale. The tale of the forgotten city of Heracleion, alongside the eerie sounds from the Mariana Trench, serves as a profound reminder of how expansive and enigmatic the underwater world truly is. From the shadowy, isolated depths of the ocean where crushing pressure reigns supreme, we now shift focus to another aquatic enigma, this time much nearer to the surface, yet just as captivating. Picture a city alive with activity, its avenues lined with bustling merchants, grand temples towering skyward, and boats threading their way through a network of watery streets. Then, in a sudden twist of fate, it disappears, devoured by the sea and lost for over a millennium. This is the incredible saga of Heracleion, an ancient city that once thrived along the Egyptian coast. For hundreds of years, debates raged about whether Heracleion ever truly existed. Was it a factual place, or simply a myth? Then, in the year 2000, archaeologists made an astonishing breakthrough. Not only was Heracleion real, but it had been hiding beneath the Mediterranean Sea all along. But how did this vibrant city end up submerged? What hidden truths are buried within its ruins? And what lessons can we draw about the fragile dance between human civilization and the mighty forces of nature? Let's dive deep into the lost city of Heracleion and uncover its silent story. The legend of Heracleion whispers through the earliest annals of recorded history. For centuries, it lingered more in myth than in reality, captured only in the writings of ancient Greek chroniclers like Herodotus. They spoke of a thriving metropolis at the Nile River's mouth, a bustling center of trade and culture known as Thonis to Egyptians and Heracleion to the Greeks. According to these ancient accounts, Heracleion was no ordinary city. It was Egypt's grand gateway, a vital stop where Mediterranean traders would dock their ships and offer tributes to the gods before venturing further into the kingdom. Heracleion was described as a city brimming with prosperity and splendor, dotted with massive temples, lively marketplaces, and flourishing harbors. Among its most revered landmarks was a colossal temple dedicated to Amun-Gareb, a deity honored by both Egyptians and Greeks. Herodotus claimed this temple was the very heart of Heracleion, a sacred site where priests conducted solemn rituals and citizens gathered to pay homage to the divine. Yet even at the height of its grandeur, Heracleion was wrapped in an aura of mystery. Ancient sources suggested it was precariously built upon unstable ground, with the earth itself trembling under the weight of its magnificent structures. Some tales spoke of floods and rising waters threatening to engulf the city, while others told of earthquakes rattling the Nile Delta, sending shockwaves through temples and homes alike. These ominous warnings seemed to foreshadow a tragic destiny. By the Middle Ages, Heracleion had disappeared entirely, its name erased from maps and its streets forgotten by time. For generations, scholars debated its existence. Was it a real city, or merely the invention of ancient storytellers? Some believed it was lost to natural disasters, while others thought it was buried under layers of Nile-carried sediment. Meanwhile, the relentless Mediterranean had steadily claimed vast tracts of Egypt's coastal land. If Heracleion had once stood proudly, perhaps it now lay beneath the waves, a ghost city swallowed by the sea. Yet without concrete proof, Heracleion remained an unsolved mystery, its truth sealed in the deep. Everything changed at the dawn of the new millennium. In 2000, French underwater archaeologist Frank Gaudio embarked on an ambitious expedition to explore Egypt's submerged coastlines. Equipped with cutting-edge sonar and magnetic imaging technologies, Gaudio and his team meticulously surveyed the seafloor near present-day Alexandria. It was a daunting quest, searching for something that might not even exist. What they found would alter history forever. Beneath 30 feet of cloudy water and layers of sand and silt, they uncovered the ruins of Heracleion. The city was not only real, but even more astonishing than anyone had imagined. Imagine descending into the Mediterranean's cold embrace, the sunlight fading into darkness as the water chills and thickens. Visibility is limited, the seabed cloaked in mud and debris, and then, emerging from the gloom, the remnants of an ancient city reveal themselves, its once mighty structures now resting silently beneath the waves. For Frank Gaudio and his team, discovering Heracleion was like stepping into a preserved snapshot of a lost world. As they painstakingly excavated the site, a vivid picture of the ancient city began to emerge. The first artifacts they retrieved were colossal stone statues, some towering over 16 feet, still astonishingly detailed despite centuries underwater. These granite figures had once decorated temples and public squares. Now they lay scattered and broken, victims of whatever calamity had undone the city. Evidence of Heracleion's unique layout also came to light. Unlike typical ancient cities, Heracleion wasn't built on solid land. Instead, it rose atop a complex web of islands and canals, resembling a watery maze similar to Venice. These waterways had enabled ships to sail directly into the city, carrying treasures from far and wide. Stone anchors, fragments of boats, and mooring rings uncovered at the site spoke of a once bustling port city. One of the most breathtaking finds was the remains of the Temple of Amun-Gareb, the city's spiritual core. This sacred space had drawn both Egyptians and Greeks, serving as a vital religious hub. Archaeologists unearthed massive columns, intricate carvings, and ceremonial treasures, golden amulets, and sacred offerings, speaking to the city's immense wealth and devotion. But Heracleion was more than a center of worship. It was a thriving marketplace. Coins, weights, and shipping documents found amidst the ruins testified to the city's pivotal role in Mediterranean trade, where goods such as gold, spices, and textiles were exchanged in vibrant markets alive with diverse merchants. Perhaps most poignant were the personal relics, everyday items like pottery, fishing tools, and food storage vessels, preserved beneath the sediment. They offered a tender glimpse into the ordinary lives of fishermen, traders, and families, all caught in the city's final hours before disaster struck. As excavations continued, more clues about Heracleon's downfall surfaced. Signs of land subsidence were evident, the gradual sinking of the ground likely accelerated by the city's immense stone structures and the natural instability of the Nile Delta's muddy base. Combined with rising sea levels and shifting coastlines, these factors likely doomed Heracleion to a slow descent beneath the sea. Some evidence even suggested a sudden catastrophe, possibly an earthquake or tsunami, that delivered the city's final fatal blow. However, despite these clues, many questions remained unanswered. What exactly triggered the city's demise? How did its inhabitants respond as waters crept higher? What hidden treasures still lie untouched beneath the seabed? The rediscovery of Heracleion was much more than a triumph of archaeology. It was a living testament to the fragile relationship between human ambition and nature's unpredictable forces. Through Frank Gaudio's meticulous work, the city's forgotten splendor and its haunting vulnerability were brought back to light. Heracleon's reappearance also unleashed a wave of speculation. While archaeological findings provided many insights, the full sequence of events that led to its sinking remains unclear. One dominant theory points to gradual land subsidence. The Nile Delta's waterlogged, unstable sediment offered a poor foundation for a heavy stone city. Over time, the immense weight caused the ground to sag. Archaeologists noted tilted structures and sunken walls, all signs of this slow but devastating process. Compounding this issue was the Mediterranean's rising sea level, further eroding and flooding Heracleon's low-lying areas. However, natural wear wasn't the only possibility. Some experts believe a dramatic catastrophe, a powerful earthquake or tsunami, may have hastened the city's downfall. The eastern Mediterranean is notoriously seismic, and ancient records describe devastating quakes that could have weakened Heracleon's already fragile foundations. Likewise, a massive undersea quake could have triggered a tsunami, overwhelming the city with colossal waves. Geological evidence from elsewhere in the Mediterranean supports this theory. Beyond natural explanations, some have floated more mystical ideas. Given Heracleon's religious significance, some speculate that its destruction was perceived as divine punishment. Ancient inscriptions reference rituals intended to appease the gods, suggesting a society deeply concerned with cosmic favor. Another mystery lingers. Why did Heracleion fade from collective memory so completely? Was it merely due to its inaccessibility, or did shifts in political and religious power after its fall intentionally obscure its story, allowing newer cities like Alexandria to rise in prominence? The fact that it remained hidden for over 1,000 years hints at how easily entire chapters of human history can vanish. And still, tantalizing secrets lie hidden. The discovered ruins span over 40 square miles, much of it unexplored. What unknown artifacts, structures, or inscriptions might still be buried in the seabed's mud and silt? Each discovery has the potential to dramatically rewrite our understanding of this lost metropolis. The rediscovery of Heracleion isn't just a milestone for archaeology, it's a portal into the human journey. For over 1,000 years, the city slept under the sea, its story trapped between myth and memory. Thanks to Frank Gaudio and his team, Heracleion has returned to us, offering a rare glimpse into an extraordinary world. The ruins, remarkably well preserved, stand as a testament to human craftsmanship and resilience. Majestic granite statues still display the fine artistry of their creators. Stone inscriptions offer glimpses into religious practices and governance, while golden offerings hint at Heracleon's prosperity. Yet Heracleon's rebirth isn't only about treasures. It's about the vibrant life that once thrived within its canals, harbors, and temples. It shows a civilization deeply intertwined with both commerce and spirituality, a crossroads where cultures met and mingled. The rediscovery has also revolutionized underwater archaeology. Techniques such as sonar mapping, magnetic imaging, and delicate underwater excavations now set new standards for finding lost cities. Today, Heracleion ranks among the greatest underwater discoveries of the 21st century, but beyond its historical importance, Heracleion offers a timely lesson. Its fall, caused by rising seas, unstable foundations, and natural disasters, resonates strongly today as humanity grapples with climate change and environmental uncertainty. Heracleon's ruins remain submerged, protected as a heritage site. Divers continue their explorations, unearthing new pieces of the city's story with each expedition. Whether through artifacts in museums or documentaries recounting its legend, Heracleion remains a vivid symbol of discovery, endurance, and the enduring mystery of our past. As we leave the submerged pathways of Heracleion behind, one lingering question remains. What other lost worlds await discovery beneath the sea? What stories still lie hidden, waiting for someone to surface them once again? The Enigma Beneath the Waves, unraveling the Yonaguni mystery. In 1986, a local diver searching the waters near Japan encountered something extraordinary: colossal stone formations resting quietly on the seabed. Initially, they appeared to be remnants of a forgotten civilization, but opinions were divided. Were they natural rock formations molded by time and tides, or tangible proof of a civilization lost to history? This is the tale of the Yonaguni Monument, among the most intriguing underwater puzzles ever unearthed. The origin of this mystery begins in the remote and peaceful waters surrounding Yonaguni Island, a part of Okinawa Prefecture. Yonaguni is a place where modern hustle fades away, framed by rugged cliffs and shimmering turquoise seas. It stands as Japan's last populated island before reaching Taiwan, a location where the vast ocean seems endless. Yet hidden beneath these serene waters lies a conundrum that has perplexed researchers for decades. Everything began in 1986 when Kihachiro Aratake, a local diving guide, sought fresh underwater attractions to entice visitors. Yonaguni was already famed for its pristine reefs and crystal-clear seas, a diver's dream. But Aratake was determined to discover something extraordinary, something that would make Yonaguni truly special. One afternoon, while surveying the southern coast, something unusual drew his attention: a dark, shadowy patch on the sea floor. Curious, he descended toward it. As he swam closer, the shadow expanded, revealing a massive structure beneath him. What he witnessed next left him stunned. Rising from the ocean bed was an immense geometric formation, sharply defined and unnervingly symmetrical. It bore a stronger resemblance to ancient ruins than to a random geological feature. Today's visuals might be a little lighter than usual. This video, and others in this series, required extensive research, writing, and recording. Feel free to listen while you go about your day, or settle in and let your imagination drift into these incredible mysteries. The visuals will enhance the story, but they're not necessary to enjoy the journey. Thank you for being here. Now, back to the tale. As Arataki continued exploring the formation, he noticed details that seemed intentional. Broad stairways ascended toward higher platforms. Corridors appeared cut into the stone. Gaps resembling doorways and windows punctuated the structure. One notable feature, nicknamed the Turtle, resembled a huge stone sea turtle perched atop a pedestal. Convinced these shapes were deliberate, Arataki hypothesized they were the work of a prehistoric society, a civilization older than recorded history. However, the monument lay submerged about 100 feet underwater. For the structure to have once stood above sea level, it would need to date back at least 10,000 years, to the last ice age, when sea levels were significantly lower. If true, this would make Yonaguni one of humanity's most ancient architectural achievements, possibly rewriting everything we know about early civilization. Arataki spent years studying the site. With each dive, he found new indications supporting his belief. possible stone tools embedded nearby, and even carvings or symbols seemingly etched into the stone, perhaps the remnants of a forgotten language. To him, the Yonaguni Monument wasn't a natural oddity, but tangible proof of an advanced society lost to time. Yet, the discovery sparked fierce debate. As news of Yonaguni spread, many experts weighed in. Skeptical geologists argued that natural forces could explain the structure's existence. Sandstone, the rock composing Yonaguni, fractures along straight lines when subjected to specific erosive forces. Ocean currents, seismic shifts, and tectonic movements might have naturally sculpted the straight edges, terraces, and stair-like formations. One of the most outspoken critics was Robert Schoch, a geologist from Boston University. After diving at the site, Schoch acknowledged some unusual features, but maintained that natural geological processes could explain them. Without clear evidence like pottery or tools, he argued, there was no solid basis for claiming human construction. The debate grew fierce. Arataki and his advocates insisted the structure's complexity and symmetry were too exact to be natural. Critics countered that extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and that, so far, no undeniable artifacts had been discovered. As arguments raged on, the enigma of Yonaguni only deepened. For adventurers and divers, the monument quickly became a must-visit site. Drifting through the submerged labyrinth, surrounded by curious fish and enveloped by the deep's haunting silence, many experienced a profound sense of wonder. Whether shaped by ancient hands or forged by nature's forces, the Yonaguni Monument continues to amaze and mystify all who see it. The site also became a lightning rod within the scientific community. On one side stood believers like Masaki Kimura, Arataki's successor in championing the man-made theory, arguing Yonaguni was a relic of an ancient, sophisticated society, a culture so old that it challenged our accepted timelines. On the other side stood cautious geologists who attributed Yonaguni's dramatic formations to erosion and geological activity. Kimura went further. He proposed that the monument wasn't a solitary structure, but part of an entire complex. Roads, smaller buildings, ceremonial platforms, and even a stone altar. According to Kimura, the site could be over 10,000 years old, predating the pyramids of Egypt and even Stonehenge. The possibility was electrifying. If true, it suggested that advanced human cultures existed during a time historians traditionally view as dominated by nomadic hunter-gatherers. Kimura even pointed to more evidence: stone tools near the site, symbols carved into the rocks, and animal-like sculptures like the stone turtle. Yet again, skeptics fired back. Robert Schoch, among others, reiterated that sandstone naturally forms straight, flat surfaces under tectonic pressure and erosion. Over millennia, nature could have easily carved the monument's dramatic features. Examples like the Giant's Causeway in Ireland, a natural formation of hexagonal basalt columns, or the Bimini Road in the Bahamas, once thought to be a road, now attributed to natural processes, demonstrate how nature can create geometric wonders. Critics also stress the absence of definitive artifacts. Without unambiguous human-made items like pottery or architecture nearby, linking Yonaguni to a lost civilization remains speculative. Artifacts Kimura cited could have been transported by strong ocean currents, not crafted in situ. The heart of the debate wasn't just Yonaguni itself. It was about how we interpret traces of the distant past. Kimura and his followers saw the monument as an opportunity to push the boundaries of archaeological thought, suggesting early civilizations were far more advanced than mainstream history acknowledges. Skeptics warned against leaping to conclusions without concrete proof. If the Yonaguni Monument was built by human hands, it provokes an even more tantalizing question: who created it and why? Kimura speculated that Yonaguni might be linked to the mythical lost continent of Mu, a fabled landmass said to have vanished into the Pacific Ocean millennia ago. Though Mu's existence remains unsupported by scientific evidence, legends of sunken civilizations echo around the world. From Atlantis in Western mythology to Lemuria in Eastern lore. Kimura envisioned Yonaguni as a cultural or religious center for an ancient people, its step platforms and terraces resembling ziggurats and pyramids of ancient civilizations elsewhere. If true, it would suggest humanity's timeline is far deeper and richer than we currently accept. However, opponents pointed to a crucial flaw. Yonaguni remains isolated. Unlike Machu Picchu or Giza, surrounded by supporting artifacts and written records, Yonaguni stands alone. No nearby villages, pottery shards, or burial sites confirm the presence of an ancient people. Even its estimated age remains uncertain. Kimura dated the monument based on sea level changes since the Ice Age, but critics argue that such methods are speculative without direct, datable artifacts. Despite the lack of definitive proof, Yonaguni continues to fascinate imaginations worldwide. Beyond geology or archaeology, it speaks to something deeper, humanity's longing to uncover the unknown, to rediscover lost stories hidden beneath the Earth's surface. Even if nature alone sculpted Yonaguni, it remains a breathtaking masterpiece, a testament to the extraordinary power of natural forces to create order from chaos. The monument's terraces, sharp lines, and massive walls suggest deliberate design, even if carved by time and tide. Standing before the towering underwater edifice, enveloped by the vastness of the sea, it's easy to understand why so many divers feel a sense of reverence. Ultimately, the Yonaguni Monument remains an unsolved riddle. Is it a relic from an ancient lost civilization, or an astonishing geological wonder shaped slowly by the relentless march of nature? For now, the answer remains submerged, waiting for future discoveries to bring it into the light. The mystery of Yonaguni reminds us how much of our world and our history still lies undiscovered beneath the waves. What's your take? Man-made marvel or natural wonder? Share your thoughts in the comments. And now, let's dive into our next incredible story.